Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I don't know if you noticed it or not, but since the mid of November, YouTube is acting a bit differently with their ads. Some people are complaining because they see more ads than in the past, other people are happy because they see less, some people they can skip, some people they can't skip, but we have to say that YouTube is working on making the ads a bit more tailor-made, a bit more personalized for you. Is it working, yes or no? Well, I have to admit that this morning, watching some YouTube videos, they have put me two ads. The first one about a grocery, a supermarket that is close to where I'm living. So I have to say in terms of geolocalization, but also the age that I have, 42, and I am the one that has to go for the groceries, I have to say that the job is fulfilled. Well done, YouTube ads. On the second ads that I'm showing, or that I'm watching, is actually the fact that they're showing me a Media World store where you are able to go and buy electronical stuff. I am a YouTuber, I am a content creator, so I have to say that also they're fantastic. But you know where they still have margin to improve? In the product that they are showing me. And I will tell you immediately, believe me or not, they are pushing me because it's Black Friday, a hair styler. So YouTube, with all the respect, I appreciate that you are working really hard, but I think that you would be able to see that I don't need a hair styler. Anyway, this was the little intro of today's video. Of course, we'll speak about Juventus. If YouTube has some margin to grow, Juventus, that is doing better than last year, also have some margin to improve, and we'll speak about that in a second. But before that, I want to speak about the disgusting, but extremely disgusting title of Corriere dello Sport. We open the page and what do we see? Corriere dello Sport is speaking about Mazzarri, that will be the new coach of Napoli. They are speaking in big and totally deserved about Sinner, the tennisman that was yesterday able to beat Djokovic, un mostro, a monster, but I believe that also a monster can be called the one that wrote the article about Juve, or that little piece there that you can see below. Torna la febbre da Juve. The Juve fever is going back because they are speaking about the audiences, that Juventus is the team that is most followed on television of Italy, and until there, no problem. But then they are yellow marking something totally not linked to that title. Violenza sessuale, sexual violence. Dani Alves is actually going to justice in Spain. Ragazzi, with all the respect, the guy that wrote the title is a monster. Why are you linking Dani Alves, that played one season with Juve, sexual violence with Juve? This is totally disgusting. I think it's totally not appropriate. And these are the things that are making me extremely angry, but really, sincerely, extremely angry. Anyway, I put it aside. I don't want to comment too much about that. If you didn't yet put a maximum of like, that would support the channel more than you think, you know it. Continue to subscribe to the channel would also be appreciated. And now we speak about Juventus. With yesterday, the news, finally, it is official. Nicolo Fagioli signed until 2028, extension of a contract. Deserved, probably yes. Important, absolutely yes. Showing also that not only words are important, the words of Juventus saying that they would back up the guy more than the football player, but also showing acts. And that's really something that makes me proud about Juventus. Yesterday, Nicolo Fagioli was signing his contract with a beautiful picture, and looks like there was nobody else. Why? Because everyone is in the international break. Jokes aside, of course, there was somebody. There was Giovanni Manna. There was also Cristiano Giuntoli. They take a picture with Nicolo Fagioli. If you want to know my opinion about that contract extension, of course, go back to the videos of yesterday, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, because I already spoke about that. If I told you in a way that there was nobody at La Continassa yesterday to sign the contract of Fagioli, of course it was a joke, but kind of a joke, because we started back the training session yesterday with Allegri that was training 5 person from the first team. That's it. Allegri is starting from 5. Who are the 5 person? 2 goalkeepers, Perin and Pinsoglio, and then you have Rugani, Nicolosi, and Arkadiusz Milik that has not been called up with the Polish national team. Yesterday, there was a training session simultaneously with the kids, that's how we call them, under 19 of Paolo Montero. Today, they will also mix, because with 5 people, it's quite difficult to do a full training session, even if we are working on the athletic part. Well, there will be a mixed training with the under 23, with the next gen team of Brambrilla. When I'm telling you that it's international break, that the players are leaving, of course, I'm not leaving them alone, because I try to follow them to see what they are doing. This morning, that's why the video is a bit later, I watched a live on the Azzurri channel of YouTube, where there were two players, Andrea and Andrea. Andrea Cambiaso, first call-up with the first national team of Italy, and Andrea Colpani, the one of Monza, that is doing extremely well. Well, what did I say? Because it was quite funny and quite interesting. I have to admit that from the two Andrea, it's our Andrea that was much more comfortable in front of the microphones. Well, he spoke about a few things. The first one, they revealed that both of them are in the room together. It is something fundamental that we have to know. No, but it's always nice, Andrea Colpani, Andrea Cambiaso, same room. Who knows? Maybe in the future they can share a room also with the black and white team that is called Juventus. He said, when they told me, Matteo from Juventus told me that I was called up with the Italian national team, speaking about Cambiaso, he said, I couldn't resist. I couldn't believe it. I went totally crazy. Matteo told me, wait before telling anyone that you have the official news, and then you can tell. He said, no, I couldn't. I had to tell my parents. It was just fantastic. Speaking about the parents, when he had the father on the phone, he said, congratulations, but don't fly too high. Relax, because you know what you will do in this first called up. You will actually carry the bags of the other players. So I really love the way that he was explaining that little inside story from Cambiaso and his father. Why? Because it's actually something that is telling that the guy has the feet on the ground, and also the family that is surrounding him. They know that he has to be calm, relaxed, and not going with your world-class player. So that was really beautiful. When they had the question about who was the first person that you met at Coverciano, Cambiaso also there, a funny guy actually, because he said the first person that I met was the receptionist. That was not really the answer that the hosts were expecting, but saying it was the receptionist because I came by night was actually a funny one. Then he said the day after it was Locatelli that is not there anymore because he had to go back, but Locatelli made me guided me through the Coverciano training center. And that was the most important thing that he said. Then he made the top 5 ever from the people that he appreciated with the national team. Top 5 of they were obliged to go with the goalkeeper. He said Buffon, otherwise he will kill me. He said Maldini was another one. Totti, Del Piero, and Pirlo. Not bad. Anyway, these were the words of Andrea Cambiaso. While they are there are of course some words in La Continassa with Giuntoli, with Manna, because not only yesterday Fagioli was extended, not only Locatelli last Thursday and the other one like Kenan Yildiz, if I'm not wrong, Miretti, etc., but we're still continuing to work on extensions, and Bremer could be potentially the next one in line. Max rinnova il muro, the wall that Max Allegri is renewing with Bremer, that should continue his journey with Juventus. Is in a fantastic moment. I think that we never saw a Bremer at that potential. He's doing fantastically well. And also for him, a probable contract extension would follow. Important one. Why? Because you're able to split the cost per year for that player. Not only him, but they are also in talks with Daniele Rugani, something that already started in August. They were already starting to think about it. And now it's absolutely much more than deserved. Another one that could possibly extend is Szczesny. We know it. He always said it. I'm really fine here at Juventus. I want to continue until the end of the contract, and then we will see. So maybe Szczesny could deserve also him a year extra in terms of a contract, which would be great, because we know it. Szczesny is earning probably a bit too much in terms of Juventus salary mass. So the wall of behind after Danilo, that was the first one to renew last year in the end of the season, in the middle of the tornado, well, could be totally completed. Anyway, another one that didn't receive that contract extension, a choice that was made by Juventus, is Juan Cuadrado, that after he was not anymore officially a Juve player, decided to go to Inter. Well, only 97 minutes in 3 months for him, still suffering from pain. I have to say that now, looking back, and I know that a lot of romanticos were asking Cuadrado to renew, to stay at Juve at least one more year. I have to say that Juventus on that one did a really great choice. Another one that was not renewed is Paulo Dybala. Why are we speaking about Paulo La Gioia Dybala, that is now with the Argentinian team in international break? It's because today it's his birthday. Paulo Dybala, happy birthday to him. Ragazzi, Paulo Dybala, you know it, on the channel I have been quite harsh with him towards the end of his Juve journey, but it's a player that made me dream. Mamma mia, what a player, what a number 10. He did fantastic things at Juve, and for that I will always be grateful for him. If I'm not wrong, 101 goals with Juve, it's something that is just epic and incredible. But Juventus not only are working on the renewals of the contract, but also on looking and scouting other players. And with Giuntoli, the mercato of Juve is starting to be more and more international. Yesterday we saw it with Nicolas Kira that made our Armenian Juventini really happy, said that Juventus is monitoring the Krasnodar's winger, Eduard Spertsyan, or Eduard Spertsyan, how you want to call it. I will have to work on my pronunciation, probably. Juventus scouts have already watched the Armenian player in the last weeks, and they will continue to watch him again soon. So I went, of course, to watch the highlights and skills of that player that I was not really familiar with, to be really honest with you. Player that is impressing this season with 15 apps this season in the Premier League of Russia, 7 goals, 3 assists, so beautiful numbers, especially for a player that is starting nearly every single game. A young player of 23, but it's not anymore a kid of 17, 18, 19, so he's the full of his maturity. 178 are the centimeters. He's 178 centimeters tall. A player that has double citizenship, Armenian and Russian. He has a contract until 2026, at the moment a value of 15 million euro. A player, I can tell you from what I saw, he can play with his left, he can play with his right. He has that grinta, really technical player, a player that is not scared to shot from the distance. He has a lot of great things. Can play as an offensive midfield, can play on the left, can play on the right, and that's one of the things that I love the most. He is ambidestro. He can use both of the feet simultaneously, no. But anyway, without any problem, he can use the left and the right. There was something that actually caught my eye, and it was actually the player agent, because he's part of the agency CAA Stellar. And then I went to check CAA Stellar because it was familiar. Well, CAA Stellar is actually the new agency of Niccolò Fagioli that was announced a few days ago. Not only that, because it's also the agency of Camavinga and Grealish. Well, forget about these players. They are out of sight at the moment, but also the one of Calvin Phillips. And we know that we were speaking about Calvin Phillips a few days ago. So the agency with a lot of players there, well, Juventus could go not only for extending Fagioli, not only going for Spertsyan, but also maybe for Calvin Phillips. Attenzione, because we could go with more than one player from that agency. Tuttosport, Sinerdaggio, or Sinerdadio, depends how you're reading it, because yesterday it was a fantastic tennis game in Turin, and that's why also Tuttosport is putting it on the front page. And then they're speaking about tutti esauriti con la Juve. Sold out, you can say, a bit sold out with Juve. What are they speaking about? Well, they are speaking about different things. The first one is that Juventus is, from the 12 first match of Serie A, the one that has been followed the most, 12.8 viewers on DAZN. They are much ahead of the competition, even if it's less than last year, where we're hitting 13.6. But not only that, because Juventus was able, from November 22 to November 23, to rise back. 12 months were needed for a new resurrection. What are we speaking about? Last November 22, we had a total CDA, the members of the board that were resigning, with a Juventus that was in difficulties, not offering beautiful performances, not competing for the title. Difficulty with Max Allegri, we know it. The board that is resigning, off the field topics that were a total disaster. Dirt on the name. Juventus was collapsing from everywhere. You know it at the end. Even if we qualified on the field on the Champions League, they took us points back that we were in Conference League. Even that Conference League didn't come because we were disqualified and banned from our good friend. I forgot his name. Mamma mia. You know, the guy that is managing UEFA. Anyway, Seferin, I totally forgot. And I'm sure that you would already put it in the comment because you know more than I know. But Juventus needed 12 months to be back. Is it the Juventus that we are all expecting? As I told you in the intro of the video, there are a lot of margin for improvement on all aspects. But yesterday we made a YouTube live that luckily it's working again, where we spoke about the importance of Cristiano Giuntoli, but even more than that, the importance of having a strong management that Juventus step by step is building back. I remember that in the beginning of the season we saw these hashtags Stadium Vuoto, so empty stadium hashtag. We remember Noi o Allegri, hashtag Noi o Allegri, that means hashtag us or Allegri, with a lot of people that were seeing that new season that would have started without Mercato, with still the confirmation of Max Allegri instead of a Tudor, that didn't go to Napoli, by the way, instead of Antonio Conte, instead of whatever new coach like Thiago Motta or Palladino or Italiano. We saw it with negativity. We didn't believe that Juventus could do something, and Juventus is in a way back, because even more than asking the obligation to win the Scudetto, what supporters were asking was a Juventus that was fighting until the last day of 23-24 to believe in something bigger, to show that they believe in it themselves, because before us believing it, we need to see the players believing it. And that's what actually Max Allegri with his team, with Cristiano Giuntoli, with the new board of managers are actually trying to show, that we believe in something, that we want to go for it, and that we go on to put every single centimeter on the field, centimeter of bravery. And that's what we are doing actually. And I remember in that fantastic, beautiful remontada win against Inter from a 2-2 to that last goal of Higuain. You remember that 3-2 that at the end saw Napoli losing the Scudetto, that they were nearly able to win with Maurizio Sarri. I remember that there was an Italian commentator that said La Juventus non muore letteralmente mai. Juventus is literally never die. If you follow the channel since long, if you are a loyal one, you will remember that I told you, and I always made you one promise: Juventus will be back, because this is the story of Juve. This has always been in our DNA. We had some difficult moments in our history, but every single time, like a phoenix, Juventus was able to come back, to rise back from the total disaster that what happened. And Juventus in that way is again maintaining that promise. We are not back yet on international stage, but it's taking time, step by step, but Juventus is showing it. And like, it is a funny thing, because like Repice was saying, the Italian commentator, La Juventus non muore letteralmente mai, Juventus literally never die. He said it in that Inter Juve with a goal of Higuain. I think that we can go towards Juve Inter of the 26th of November with that sentence here in mind. That would be extremely, extremely beautiful. Anyway, I will not speak too much about Walter Mazzarri that is back, that we see on Gazzetta dello Sport. Just the only thing that I want to say, it's funny how they are turning things, because now they are trying to push the narrative that it's De Laurentiis that said no to Tudor because he accepted to become the coach of Napoli, and they are changing the narrative towards, no, it's De Laurentiis that actually changed his mind and he said no to Tudor, while we actually know that Conte said no, and at the end also, and legitimately, Tudor said also no to the offer of De Laurentiis because he didn't want only 7 months to be there, a bridge coach, and I think he did extremely well. He already had some difficulties. Now I want to say good luck to Walter Mazzarri, that because his first 4 games of new coach again, because it's the second time, his second spell will be the first one against Atalanta of Gasperini. The second game will be against Real Madrid in the Bernabeu on the 29th of November. Then he will play against Inter, and then he will play against Juventus. So 4 really, really difficult games for Walter Mazzarri. Look, if they can have 0 points in all this game, I would be happy. I would be extremely happy. Then he can start building back from the 5th game on. Anyway, that was it for me for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Grazie, forza, Juve.